You're listening to AchtungMillwall, broadcasting from the beautiful South Birmingham. Accept no substitute.
Hello, dear listeners. Welcome to part 2 of this weekend's AchtungMillwall, coming to you in the aftermath of that 1-1 draw, gutty 1-1 draw, to borrow Joe Edwards' post-match phrase yesterday, last-minute penalty for Huddersfield, giving them a point where we were all dreaming of a pretty crucial 3 points for the Lions, of course, yesterday. But before we get into today's voicemails, which is the point and purpose of today's show, I've got some pundit questions for you, plural questions. Punditgames.co.uk. You can still probably just about make Christmas if you're lively. Great trivia game, number one football trivia game. Fully recommend it. Every sale where you select the AchtungMillwall drop down gets the Lions Food Hub a little bonus, a little contribution, which is the point and purpose of our show too. So I've got two questions for you to demonstrate the range of genres of football quiz questions that the game will throw up. We're going to go from the sublime to the ridiculous. I'm going to start off with one of the most obscure questions. I mean, the Football League section I find pretty obscure on there. It's got World Cup, England in the 2000s, 90s and 2010s and so on. But the Football League question throws up some really obscure ones. So if you get this, I don't know whether to admire you or feel sorry for you. But anyway, it's a Football League question. So we'll start off with a little teaser question to give you a sense of what you can expect by buying a game of Pundit from punditgames.co.uk. So this is a club legend at both Bristol City, 2004 to 2013, and then Ipswich Town, 2013 to 2021, featuring over 200 times for both clubs. So Bristol and Ipswich, 200 appearance plus player. He's still going today, anchoring the midfield for Colchester United, if you know your Colchester. This is the League 2 game between Newport and Colchester United, a 2-1 win for Colchester. April 22nd, 2022. He's in he's in a midfield, alongside Alan Judge, never heard of him. Noah Chilvers. Up front is Freddie Sears in that Colchester side. If you get that, as I say, I don't know whether to say well done or to pity you. So a club legend at Bristol and then Ipswich, featuring 200 appearances for both. We'll have the answer to that question at the end of the show, but maybe one that might have a chance with, I don't know. If you get the other one, God help you. But if you get this one, you'll be pretty good, I'd say. This is an international player question. A close friend of Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who played alongside him at Ajax, Barcelona, Inter Milan and Paris Saint-Germain. This is a left-back who won 3 consecutive titles with Inter Milan in the 2000s. His playing career has taken in, he started out Cruzeiro, so he's Brazilian national. 10 appearances for the Brazilian side, national side. He's played with Ajax, 2001 to 2006. Inter Milan, 79 appearances and 2 goals, 2006 to 2009. Loaned out to Empoli, then he's gone on to Barcelona, 57 appearances, 1 goal for Barca. And then to conclude his playing career, Paris Saint-Germain, 2012 to 2017. So a close mate, a mucker of Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Answers to both of those questions will come at the end of today's show. But do check out Pundit on punditgames.co.uk. It's a number one football trivia game, and the Food Hub gets a bonus every time we sell a copy through their website. So, on to today's voicemails in the aftermath of the gutty 1-1 draw. Joe Edwards, speaking to the press after the game yesterday, referred to the relative importance of the game, and I suppose arguably we didn't lose it, so there's something. But it had a bit of a hype coming into yesterday's game, and I'm not sure that we really saw a performance to match the hype. Joe Edwards basically said the first half was edgy. I thought it was poor. He thought it was edgy, and there wasn't much in it. I agree with that much. Second half we were better. We were better once the goal went in my opinion. And then once Joe Bryan and then Duncan Watmore came in. So, strange performance. Obviously, to relinquish the game so late is the disappointing part. The wonderful. Big shout out to Millwall Argentina, who published a list of late goals that the Lions have conceded this season. My Spanish is not so good, so I'm going to keep it strictly to English. I do know that derrota means defeat. So Bristol City, 91st minute defeat. Watford, a draw in the 93rd minute. conceded. Southampton 93rd minute defeat. Sunderland 84th draw, and Huddersfield draw. And it's got a picture of Jose Mourinho, who I'm sure would have understood it all. My Spanish not really being up to par, dear listeners. But anyway, there we are. So yeah, it's been a poor season in terms of ability to see out a game. I do think that we've got a season of relegation haunted fighting to come. But anyway, let's have a listen to our first voicemail. Big thank you to Jim Hackett, regular contributor. Big thank you to Jim for sending in the following message.
Morning, Nick. Jim Hackett here. Just going on about that game yesterday. I've got to say what a poor game it was between two very poor sides, and neither of them showed any spark at all throughout the whole game. I think for us, the promised land that was the positive football, playing on the front foot, everything that we've been told to expect, didn't look like it yesterday. If anything, it looked to be a second-rate Gary Rowett showing. It was something that was really disappointing. I think before the game, everybody was up for a decent performance, given the way they've been playing in defeat. But that yesterday was very disappointing. And at 1-0 up, I thought, well, if we get out of that with 3 points, then we'll all be happy. And it was there to be taken, wasn't it, the 3 points? But again, I'm going to go back, and I say it quite regularly on here and in conversations, that Jake Cooper and other players around, they've got a habit of making some stupid challenges in dangerous areas. He didn't need to make the challenge. The lad had got the ball past him, but if he puts it in the box, there's still enough defenders there to close it out. Instead, what he's done is given them a free kick, and it allows them to send all their players up. And it was obviously a penalty, because I don't know what Sav was doing with his hands up there, but it's just one of those things. But timing, everything that goes with it was just really disappointing. And I do say, for a guy who's our captain, I think Jake Cooper makes so many of those daft challenges and gets himself booked, for nonsense, instead of actually concentrating on football. So I just wonder whether, the captaincy is the way for him to show his leadership, because he's not showing anything to us this season, definitely. And I think we're lacking a leader on the park, and we're lacking a lot of leadership throughout the team. So for me, I was just disappointed with the way it finished. I thought if we snuck a 1-0 win, then fine, we'd take the 3 points, and it would have made the table look totally different than it does this morning. As it is, we've now got more of those games coming up, and with the best will in the world, I said I'd give Joe Edwards till Christmas, and I still will. So there's another game, and I can't see any change in this team, and it can't be just the players, because Gary Rowett, Adam, mid-table, we were never going to go down. We were fighting enough to pick up wins and pick up points, but now we're not picking anything up. I mean, that point yesterday was 2 points dropped, definitely, but we're better than that. You look at the players he's playing, he's bringing players in, leaving them out. Our last game, Honeyman had a quite a decent game, didn't get in yesterday, and when he needed to bring a pair of fresh legs on, he brought Longman on. And with the best will in the world, Honeyman is full of running. Longman had one run where he actually nicked the ball, got on his bike, and he just got chased down, and that's a fresh player coming on who's supposed to be a wired man, who's supposed to have legs. So if he hasn't got the legs to just get away once, then what was the point in bringing him on to give us nothing? I think as a team yesterday, we looked fragile at the back. I thought, even though Huddersfield didn't cause us many problems, when they did get the ball at us, I think we had to close them down a little bit quicker. We had to do things differently, and it doesn't suit our players. I was a bit surprised by the formation he played yesterday. So there's lots of little things that I think aren't going quite right at the moment, and it's difficult to see without more players coming in. It's difficult to see any changes, because I just worry that Joe Edwards hasn't got the experience of turning a poor team into a decent team. It's all right when you're a young coach and you're working with young players, because you can affect them, but he's got young players at the club, and he doesn't seem to be making them any better. I think obviously at the moment our biggest miss is Denore. I think if he was in the centre of the park yesterday, he would have comfortably won that game, because he does have the ability to pass the ball and and get us going. Fleming didn't offer a lot yesterday. I think he's working hard, but he looks that he's putting a lot of stress on himself. So to me, his touch, his control of the ball isn't what it was at all. And then when you've got Watmore on the bench, why wouldn't you give him 60 minutes? And, you know, if he blows up, then replace him with Fleming, and hopefully he'd have the bit between his teeth to go somewhere. So overall, really disappointed. Yes, I was fuming last night because I couldn't see Huddersfield scoring. But poor teams against us don't need to do a lot, because we'll give them opportunities, because we will make those stupid mistakes, and that was another one yesterday. So we go on to Stoke next week, and let's see what the excuses are before we get there, and then see what the team is that he picks, because you can guarantee there'll be more changes and none of us will be quite sure what he's doing. So come on, you Lions.
Some really interesting points there, Jim. Yeah, what did we expect with Joe Edwards? I'll tell you what I hoped, and I think I'm still hoping, but you know, this is a bit like when you first meet somebody, you kind of project. I'm talking about relationships here, listeners. I want to have the our tune thing going now, the Simon Bates, didn't I? You kind of project into somebody else what you hope they'll be, don't you? And then, you know, cold reality takes over, and maybe you get it, maybe you don't. I think I probably expected us to be playing a higher level of football. I think we all did. And I must admit, Jim, that you are spot on there, mate, because the football that we saw in that first half, and at the start of the second half, where Huddersfield had a little bit of a flurry, was generating boos. I mean, you know, if you listen to the live in-game thoughts show that I've done, part one of this weekend's edition, you can hear it. There was disgruntlement all around me in the Groupon stand. You know, that people were getting unhappy because it was such poor quality. Now, we weren't expecting that. We were expecting maybe players to be, you know, rising beyond themselves in some mystical way. I know I'm a sucker for this kind of thing, listeners, so I'll put my hand up to you. That's kind of what I expected, but we're not seeing much at the moment. Christmas is next week. QPR is 2 games away, and am starting to wonder, like Jim, and I'll say it to you, dear listener, I'm just you and me talking here, isn't it? But does Joe Edwards' experience of working with talent, high level talent, Chelsea, England, Everton, has it prepared him for working with the tough realities of Championship footballers and their limitations? I don't know. Yeah, the late free kick conceded by Jake, when you see it back today on the highlights reel, you do wonder, Jim, what on earth were you doing there? Football intelligence, I think I called it with Harry. He wasn't so convinced of that, but I see it across the side, really. We're not football intelligent like other teams seem to be, but there we are. So big thank you to Jim. We're going to go over next to another regular contributor. Big thank you to Angelo for the next message.
Hi Nick, Angelo, mate. Gutting, mate. Absolutely gutting. I thought second half, we played really, really well. We were putting on the pressure. We didn't create loads of clear-cut chances, but I could see, you know, it was better. I'd say from about 60 minutes, it was a lot better. But yeah, it's just things are not going for us at the moment. It's so unlucky, mate. I've just seen the handball when I've got home, and it's just fucking unlucky, mate, honestly. I think the ball's going straight through to the keeper anyway as well. Right, well, Nick, what I want to speak about, right, is I've had a really big think today, right, about the best system that we should play, yeah? And I'd like to get your thoughts on it, right? I like this team, right? It's the goalkeeper, whether it's Bart or whether it's Sarkic, I'm not sure. But I will play 3 at the back, not 5, 3 at the back. Cooper on the left, Hutch in the middle, Wes on the right-hand side of it, right? I'd play them 3 there. On the left, Joe Bryan. I thought he was great when he come on, mate. You can just see he's got more of an attacking intent. Joe Bryan on the left, Norton Cuffy on the right. Yeah, so these two are just like up and down, right? Supporting the front players. I put Lenny in the middle, right, with Saville stroke Denor. Yeah. Watmore, when he come on, just creates danger, doesn't he? Creates urgency. Put Watmore behind Nisbet and Bradshaw, who I thought today worked their absolute socks off today. Yeah. But I wouldn't mind seeing that system, mate. Yeah, Coop, Hutch, and Wes, the back three, solid, experienced defenders. We've got the two flying guys up the wings. Lenny in the middle, mate. Billy, I love Billy, but I just think Billy hasn't got the physicality to be a championship midfielder. He's just a bit too immobile, in my opinion. So I'd have Lenny in there, mate, going, you know what I mean, really, really getting stuck in. And yeah, I was so impressed with Nisbet and Bradshaw today. The work they put in today was superb. I feel sorry for Saville. Saville grafted his backside off today, and obviously he must be sitting at home absolutely gutted that he gave away that last minute penalty. But yeah, I'll be interested to see what you think of that. Of that sort of like setup, mate. But I think it would work, and. Yeah, I'd give it a go. If I was Joe Edwards, I'd give it a go. Joe, if you're listening to this podcast, mate, give that a go. Put Lenny in the middle, and let's see what happens. But yeah, listen, we nearly got them 3 points, but we just got to keep battling on, mate. We are in a relegation battle, but I'm sure that we will come out of it. And let's see what happens. All right, Nick, have a good evening, and come on, you Lions.
I'm going to call that the Angelo system, Angelo. Three-man back line, Cooper on the left, Hutch in the middle, Harding covering the right, with behind BNC, I suppose he'd be on the right, wouldn't he? And Brian on the left. And Leonard in the middle. I mean, I was saying to Harry in the other show, or Harry said to me, to be fair, that we probably want to push Leonard further forward. So I do agree. We do need, and what more would give us more running and more energy. Fleming, we've debated till the cows have come home as to what's not happening with him. He does seem to be off the boil for whatever reason. I wouldn't be against Leonard as long as he's fit. I mean, that's the thing. And Joe Bryan, he looked good yesterday, as you say there. I mean, the system I think could. It can't be. We've changed. We've tried so many systems now, Angela. I suppose it's one more. Let's reshuffle the pack again. Give it a go. I agree about Nisbet and Bradshaw. I thought there was a glimmerings of a partnership up front there yesterday, and I think the more they play together, the more they'll understand each other. So that was good. I've enjoyed Watmore in yesterday and the midweek game up there at Leicester. I think when he came in place of Fleming, of course. I would start him. I'd put Fleming on the bench and start Watmore personally, and Leonard and Saville in the middle. I mean, so long as we've got fitness, and we are coming now to the heaviest part of the season. So if it works from that point of view, that would be an interesting formation. What do you listeners think to that? It's my only real take on it, Angelo, is like I just said. So being a bit supercilious, really, but. We are trying so many variations on formations. Jim made that point in his previous message. You just wonder whether Joe Edwards will reach a settled 11, a settled format, and start to try and build some understanding between the team. I wonder what impact it's having on the squad, because we've lurched from pretty much, since Blackburn at the end of last season, we've been lurching from crisis match to crisis match, really, and no 2 weeks seem to be the same. That's an interesting take there by Angelo. Big thank you there, mate. Incidentally, listeners, if you do want to join our voicemail club, I've set it up as a voicemail club. I've just decided, a bit like the I Spy Club back in the 70s. Do give me a shout on Twitter, X. You can direct message me. You can actually send me a voicemail message on there. There's a little voicemail if you're using the iPhone. You can send voice messages on Twitter, or if you want to give me longer content, give me a shout on there. We can exchange mobile phone numbers, and we can you can do WhatsApp me. Always welcome. Give us a shout. Hit me up, I think the kids say. Okay, let's have a listen now to Vince Lee.
Hello, Nick. Vinny Block 2. Just a little message in regards to today's game. Don't know where to start, really. Probably one of the most insipid first halves I've seen. Really, really worried at the moment. I'm not a pessimist, never have been. I've always been pretty optimistic, and I was when Joe Edwards came in. I don't know if it's just he hasn't got the players he needs for the tactics he wants to bring into our team, but nothing seems to be working. Whatever formation, whatever players he uses, I do think we need something else from a manager. He can probably have a team play really nice football. That ain't Millwall. We're never going to have the players of the value of the teams at the top half of the division. So what they need to be is a team that are going to fight for every ball, run their asses off, and leave it all out on the pitch. And it doesn't seem that we've got that. We've got one or two players who do that. I'll hop back to Neil Harris's time. Now, I don't want Neil Harris back. Don't get me wrong, but we beat a lot of big teams down the Den, and we won a lot of big games because we out-fought teams, out-battled them. This team don't do that. I think the players we have from a few years ago, they're just a little bit old now. Fleming, bless him, he's a shadow of his former self, isn't he? I was watching him today, hardly moved, didn't move. People kept trying to beckon him to the ball, to run to the ball, get into space. And he didn't do that. We looked a lot better when Watmore came on, and Joe Bryan as well. So maybe that's some positives that come out of that game. But as I said, that first half was just terrible. There were two really poor teams out there today. And what worries me is we are not beating the teams around us. That's another game where we haven't won. It's going to be a elephant on our back until we can put a team away. When that's going to be, I don't know. I think after the Christmas period, we could be in the bottom three. Oh well. I'm going to watch Saving Private Ryan just to cheer me up. Cheers, Nick. Have a good Christmas, everyone, and come on, you Lions.
It's coming to something, Vinny, when you're watching Private Ryan. The opening scene of the assault on Normandy beaches is a film classic, but cheerful it ain't, is it? Yeah, insipid was a good choice of word there. I'll go with insipid as a first. I thought it was very poor, and not at all what we've been promised, as Angelo and Jim have just said on their two voice messages. Make you right about the introduction of Joe Bryan. I'm just looking still at Angelo's, the Angelo system. He certainly brought a touch of quality, and that quality is the thing we're crying out for. I think even Brooke Norton-Cuffy brings a bit of quality on. He's not our player, listeners, by the way. This mustn't ever. Was it Harry says? He says don't fall in love with lone players, doesn't he? And I think he's onto something there, because he will go back to, is it Arsenal he comes from? But you can see that touch of Premier League quality. There aren't any other players around. I mean, we haven't touched on the Roman Esse question yet, but somebody else made the point about looking at our substitutes bench. Who have we got to bring on and actually change a game? We lack that. So we're all really hanging on two things, really. One is the choice of tactics, and you've just touched on it there, Vinny, about this desire to progress, and that's a very real ambition for the club. I understand that, and I actually support it. But whether we've now got, I think I said 25 games to go in the other edition, it's actually 24. We've played 22, so we've got 24 games left in the Championship to influence our outcome, which is not an awful lot. And once you get through the early round of the FA Cup, the season, in my time, it seems to go very, very quickly. So that 24 games is going to become, 10 to 12 to 13 games very shortly. So we've got to start finding some results. Now, the way to do that, I don't know whether there's a belly in the club for back to basics. Defending wise, I think we are very fragile. I actually think and believe that in the January transfer window, it's going to be the defence where we really need to look hard to see what's available. And we would probably take anything that's going, I suppose, if it's half decent. But I think we've been so defensively fragile for such a long time now. Take your pick really as to whether the goalkeepers are, the attributes of one over the other. But I think it's central defence and that left side, sadly for Murray Wallace, where the issues lie. Big transfer window coming. We'll probably finish up with nothing, which is probably the Millwall way, and then we're going to depend on trying to produce performances that are going to lift and involve the Den, which is our most dangerous weapon. There's a little bit of atmosphere yesterday once we got into the game, but it's been so wasted and so misused for so long. I do wonder what we have to our ability to change things in that direction, whether we have a management that understands that. There we are. We're going to listen now to Michael Avery. Let's have a listen to Michael.
Well, good afternoon, dear listener. Michael Avery here, speaking. I've just got home from the game, and where to begin? Do you know what? First half was shocking. Like, quality-wise, wasn't particularly good at all. We all know that. But, when you're in the situation we're in, and, you're struggling for points and form and quality and that good buzz feeling around the ground, you take a first half like that. In recent games, we concede early, and then it just obviously all goes downhill from there. So, from our point of view, you know what? If you'd have said take 0-0 at half-time and then you're still in the game, 100%. I think Huddersfield, as I said to Nick in the live recording, not sure if it was picked up or he was going to edit it out, but apart from the one that they scooped over the bar, Huddersfield did very, very little, from my opinion. Might have got the odd shot away here and there, but I can't overly remember from memory Sarkic having too much to do. I thought Murray Wallace at times today did well. There was a couple of times the ball was played up long, and in the past he might have headed it on, but a few times he actually tried to bring it down, played it up the line. I thought Nesbitt and Bradshaw actually combined quite well, even though they're quite similar-ish type players, that sort of small, nippy wing attacker. So, I thought they did okay. And overall, it wasn't bad. It just wasn't brilliant. It had no spark, it had no flair, it had no moments of magic. The goal took a bit of a while to confirm whether it actually was given, because I think the keeper being down and bundling the keeper, and did he drop it and did he not, all of that comes with it. But a goal's a goal. And it was just very, very cruel way in the 96th minute to concede the goal the way we did. But do you know what? I put it in my tweet just a moment ago that I replied to Nick. If that's the bottom of the league, dear listener, this is what I keep saying all the time about putting things in perspective and thinking about, what this division is and the scope of the very best in this division compared to the very worst. Leicester and Ipswich, we weren't in the game at all, and they just played it around us, and we got some goals, like I said, probably late consolations more than anything else, and again they could have switched off. But if Huddersfield are a team who are going to be near the bottom of the division this season, and they're struggling, we're better than that. That Huddersfield side weren't good at all, and even though it wasn't a pretty game, we were the superior side. QPR, they're on a bit of run, but what we need is what QPR's got at the moment, where they have that bounce. They have a couple of wins under a new manager, and then that bounce and that good feelings there. I know we had it at Sheffield Wednesday, but it's just bad luck, I think, mainly for us at the moment. Apart from, again, the Leicester and Ipswich games, taking those two out, let's put a pin in those two for now. We let in a really unlucky goal against Cardiff, which in other games, Sarkic would have probably saved. The penalty decision that was given against us against Sunderland, in retrospect, wasn't a penalty. And Saville, who has been absolutely superb since he's been back in the side after his little tiff with Rowett, he's with his experience in his head and the way he plays, he wouldn't be the player who flicks his hand out for a penalty. So, yes, Harry Warren says it's he's blue in the face, and I do not disagree with him whatsoever. It is a results-based business. And again, this is possibly, if you look at the Sunderland game and the game today, that's 4 points that we've thrown away when, we could have got 6. And just think now, if Leonard's penalty decision, if they saw that right and gave that, and Saville didn't flick his hand up in the 95th minute of 96 added on, we'd be quite clear of that drop zone. So, is it as disastrous as we make out? At times, yeah, it is, and I'll back it. And at times, it is shocking. But again, perspective. The teams who we should be beating, we're very, very unlucky to not be getting something. Sunderland were near the top of the table when we played them, and they got a lucky penalty. Huddersfield near the bottom of the table, and they couldn't lace a glove on us, and they got an unlucky penalty. I think we'll be okay. I think we'll survive. I think that we'll probably be, by the end of the season, a good few points clear of that drop zone, and I don't worry too much. But again, I'm not downplaying the feeling that some may have, and saying how it's not good at the moment, all that kind of stuff. We said it with Rowett when he took over from Harris. We said it from Harris when he took over from Holloway. We need to give him a couple of transfer windows to get his style of players in, or bring up some of these youth players. Let's talk about Romain Esse, dear listener. Only kidding. If you don't hear from me before, have a wonderful Christmas, all dear listeners. And thank you for listening to the show and the comments that I get on social media. Up the lines. Come on, you lines? Oh, I can't remember what it is now, but come on, Mill.
It's funny, Michael. Just recording this on having watched the Liverpool Man U Ballfest. Given the multi million pounds that those players collectively cost, really drab and uninteresting game. But it was a penalty shout, which wasn't given actually. Where it's a very similar looking incident. I can't remember the name of the player now. Handballed it, but it was one of those moments where it was judged that the ball had hit his hand rather than him deliberately trying to influence the flight or the outcome of the game with his hand. Very similar, I think, in my opinion, to on vastly less reduced coverage that we saw yesterday with George Saville, because I don't think Sav had much chance to do anything about the fact that the ball hit his hand, but our one was given. Obviously, the Liverpool game match was in the other direction. So, yeah, bad luck. Poor concentration too, though. I think that's what I would say. I mean, I think it's easy to blame luck. We did create some chances across the game yesterday, which were either lacked power or they weren't taken, as well as obviously the goal, which was persistence really by Brooke Norton-Cuffy that put it away. So I think poor concentration, the kind of boundary between poor concentration and bad luck is a blurry one. QPR facing them Boxing Day, and they do seem to have their tails up at the moment. They got beat yesterday with some late goals apparently up there at Sheffield Wednesday. Spirit and momentum are big deals in football at the moment. The atmosphere and the feeling around the Den is very deadening. I mean, people started booing yesterday. And everyone that crosses the threshold of the Den has got the right to express their views and opinions within the law. But it's a most destructive thing. I mean, I don't do it. Do you do it, listeners? Do you boo your own team when things aren't going right? It's never going to help. I suppose it's a method of expression of your frustration. I'm just looking at a tweet by Smithy, MFC. He says, I've never seen us so divided as a club. Far too many are trying to point score with the old managers, rather than all just getting behind the club now. It's as if some want us to fail just to be proven that they were right about Rowett, and it's embarrassing, says Smithy. I kind of agree with that, because it's a Millwall trait, or has become a Millwall trait. Partly, I think it's always been there, but it's amplified now with social media. It's easier to dig your own out rather than get behind them, I think. Now, I know you've got to be given something to get behind. I understand all the arguments that people will throw back at me for saying that. But booing your own side in game is never, ever going to help anyone do anything. It's a big thank you, Michael. Happy Christmas to you too, mate. If I don't see you before Crimbo. Let's have a listen now to Matt Richards, show regular Matt Richards.
Oh, Nick, Matt Richards. Coming back from that game today. Bloody hell. I don't know. I mean, obviously it's gutting, to lose that penalty. Were we unlucky? I don't know. Well, yeah, I suppose so. But, we should be beating these teams. We should be beating these teams at home. We shouldn't be relying on scraping a 1-0 win against Huddersfield, who I thought they started the game quite brightly, Huddersfield, but after that, they didn't really cause many problems. I don't think Sarkic had like one save to make. But it's just, we just need 3 points. We had to have 3 points today. 6 games without a win. People seem quite relaxed. I'm not as relaxed as some people. We need to get some confidence back in the team. Second half I thought was a lot better. Obviously it was a lot better today. Played with a bit more. We used Norton Cuffy. We weren't using him in the first half, and we've got to use his pace. The boy has pace to burn, and he's got some good skill on him as well. And he's our most dangerous player at the moment. So we should have used him a bit more in the first half, but we did in the second. And second, we never had any clear-cut chances, but shooting is just awful. I mean, Saville's was miles away, and Billy's was rose-ed. So, I wouldn't say we had any clear-cut chances. We were a better team in the second half. just listened to Joe Edwards on BBC London Radio, and he's right. We were the better team. It still wasn't a good performance. And I thought today might have been that kind of lucky win, which we kind of get away with, and then that gives you confidence. And obviously QPR lost. You know, it would have given us a bit of clear, clear water, but we haven't. So yeah, we go. So we, big game next Saturday. Obviously against Stoke. Players wise, Norton Cuffey, so man of the match. I agree with that, and I thought Nisbet played well as well. Fleming, he's he needs to be dropped. You can see he got the right arm when we took him off today, but he was not doing anything. He's too slow. I think he is trying. I just don't think he's just quick enough. He's not quick enough in his feet, quick enough in the head to play. If we're going to play a 10, then I think he needs to play Watmore. And then it's good to see Brian come back as well, because he gives us a bit more quality on the left. So got to be positive and think we can get something against Stoke. But we need to get some points. We need to get some points, because I'll tell you what, people are relaxed. I'm not relaxed at all. And before you know it, we're going to be, we're struggling already, but it'll be the whole season struggling down the bottom. So that's it. I'm not going to say much about Joe Edwards. I think you've got to back him. I still think, you look at today, that could have been Gary Rout out there. If that was Gary Rout playing that, then people would be shouting for manager's head, wouldn't it? But it's funny how suddenly people are a bit more on a manager's side sort of thing. It's still about quality players. We just haven't got good enough quality players. You can play any shape you want, but if you haven't got the quality players, then we're going to struggle. But I thought the players they tried hard though today. I was seeing lots of fight there. It just wasn't good enough. So anyway, I'm starting to get. I was a bit positive, and now I'm turning a bit negative. So I'll go before I get too negative. Fingers crossed for next week. Cheers, Nick.
It's interesting how different people see it different ways, Matt. I'm just looking at some of the tweets from yesterday. There's one here from JP Millwall 2. He says we're in a relegation 6-pointer against Huddersfield. He means, and it's more like a pre-season friendly. Says JP. The quality of the football is so shit. He says he wants Edwards to work, but people hated Rowett for a 5 at the back, which is what we had yesterday, and now Edwards is doing it. We don't need 3 centre backs against Huddersfield. We need a midfielder. There's something in that. I mean, the quality of the play hasn't improved. Are the players being asked to do what they can't do? Probably. Can you persist with that and survive relegation? You probably can't. So unless we're going to make some dramatic changes in the January transfer window, and by dramatic, you're probably talking about a good half of the side coming in to play this style, then you either got to do that or rethink hard whether you go back to basics and stick to what your players can do, what they know, and look to make the changes in the summertime. Because survival in the Championship is, for me, the most crucial thing now, because I've said it a few times, I won't bang on, but falling into League One is going to be a dead zone. So yeah, interesting how some people see the you're not relaxed and others are relaxed. It's an interesting dilemma to be in. Big thank you, Matt Richards. Have a listen now to Lawrence Binney.
Hi Nick, Lawrence here. I've got a bit more time today because you've given me your WhatsApp, so it's a bit easier for me to structure my thoughts. Bitterly disappointing result. I think the result was the most important thing today, and if we won, I think you could probably disregard the performance and sort of say, well, that's a big win and we move on. Got QPR, Boxing Day, Stoke away, those are big games. Get through this festive period with a decent amount of points, maybe 5, 6, 7 points. But we didn't win, and it's not luck. I've seen a few people say it's luck. It's not luck. That game was always way too open. Two very poor sides. Neither side really doing enough to grab the game. with both hands and really sort of assert themselves. I think we had a period in the second half where we looked all right, I would say, against a very shaky Huddersfield defence. But for the most part, it was a return to row-out ball. It was Cooper collecting the ball in our own half, spending way too long looking for options which weren't available. And they weren't available because he takes about 10 fucking minutes to make a decision. And that's not his fault. He's just not that. He's just not that kind of a player. Murray Wallace with some surprisingly good crosses in that first half, but again, slows the play down. Brick Norton Cuffy couldn't get on the ball enough in that first period because, again, we're not quick enough to get it to him. And Huddersfield quickly closed that space down. We don't have Denore at the moment, so we're finding it a bit difficult to put some moves together in the centre of the park. I think that is a problem that is endemic throughout this squad, is that there are no combinations. I can't see a single combination on that pitch. Thinking back to the good old days, Harris, Moody, fullbacks like Lawrence interchanging with Eiffel, Reed on the other side. Good understanding Robbie Ryan, who was a limited player, but let players like Reed do their job. But we don't have any combinations in this squad. There aren't two players who I think are on the same wavelength. That's partly because of the recruitment's been scattershot. But yeah, we've not settled on a way of playing. I think that was true under Rowett. I think it's why we've got such a patchwork squad is because I think Rowett was trying to get us to play progressive football, but I think kept overthinking things and probably reaching a conclusion that a few of our fans have had, which is we're not good enough to do this, so let's go back to what works. So we've got two strikers who are exactly the same, a load of midfielders who are basically interchangeable, kind of crab footballers who pass the ball from side to side, and big lumps at the back, and that is the sum of it. And I know it's the sum of it because Brooke Norton-Cuffy was our best player today, and he's the only player in that squad at the moment who bucks that trend. He's a player who's progressive, likes to get forward, likes to take players on, likes to stretch defences, and he's a wing back. I know he's in the modern day, full-backs are wing backs, and they're probably expected to attack slightly more than defend. But it is damning that our best player is a Arsenal loanee wing back, and he is our best player. And love Leonard, solid player, very reliable. Love Saville, very reliable. But let's be honest, Brooke Norton Cuffy is our best player. And I think for me, he's our player of the season. I fucking dread to think what would be without him at the moment, because he's the only player who excites me when he gets on the ball. I think Watmore had a good game when he came on. I think, again, because he can actually progress the ball up the pitch and run, even if the end product is lacking. It's just a lack of quality, isn't it? I don't know how we've got to this stage, spending the money that we have, quite a lot of money for a club like us, and we have the slowest squad in the league. We are in big trouble, and we desperately need some smart loan signings in the January period if we're going to do anything. The only sort of consolation I can take is that Huddersfield looks about as bad as us. So hopefully there are a few teams down there that can, help us out by being really shit, worse than us. Cheers, Nick. All right, bye.
I don't know why, but I really like the expression crab football with lumps at the back. That sounds like a medical condition, doesn't it? Doctor, I've got crab football with lumps at the back. I know what you mean, Lawrence. I mean, there was a moment, I can't remember who had the ball. It might have been Watmore, it might have been Billy. It was far away from where I was looking, because we're talking about quality or lack of. But there was a moment where we were pressing forwards at 1-0. Obviously, we were ahead. Brian had come into the game and he made such an intelligent run, probably bog standard run, at Premier League level on a more higher end of the Championship. But he made a kind of a cross, cutting in from the left side across the man with the ball, in towards the danger zone, just where the D meets the penalty area, and it just was not picked up. The ball went backwards. It might have been Billy in that case, but the ball went backwards rather than into the intelligent run that Joe Bryan made there. And it was one of those fleeting memories that go in and out of your head at the time. It's just come back to me as I've been listening to your message, where you kind of silently die a little. You think he's made a really strong run and no one has seen it. It's a bit like, I don't know, producing a great album and nobody buys, Partnerships, very hard to build a partnership. I mean, I thought Nisbet and Bradshaw had the glimmerings. I wouldn't go any further of a partnership yesterday. They are very similar strikers. That can work. It has worked in football in years gone by at other clubs. It could work. It needs to be regularly nurtured and watered and a lot of tender loving care put into it. And I think the problem that we've got at the moment, Lawrence, and this is a Joe Edwards problem, is that we're chopping and changing our sides so often that no one really knows whether they're an established first team start or not. Maybe only Sarkic, and that might be a comment, because Sarkic can say his name's on the chalkboard before the start of the game. But Nisbet and Bradshaw, I thought worked nicely yesterday. Didn't take real goal scoring danger chances, but you can see how it could, and that's something. To chuck it away with that late silly decision, which you could call bad luck. I call it bad choices, as others have made the point already on the show. It would have been a powerful shot in the arm if we'd have got the 3 points. There we are, dear listeners. We're going to close out now with two in succession. I'm going to close out with Dave from Perth in Australia. Big shout out to Dave. And then a real character, Mr. Bobby BT, to finish us this week. So big thank you to everyone who's contributed to the show this week. Keep them coming, boys. It makes a really interesting show. I think they're popular shows, and all the money we make on AchtungMillwall goes towards the Lions Food Hub. So contribute and do some good as well. So big thank you to everybody for the content this week. So next up will be Dave Baccarini, and then it'll be BT Bobby, Mr. Cheeky. Thank you for listening, dear listeners. Arrivederci Millwall. Bye for now.
Nick, Dave here from sunny Perth, Australia, ringing in after the Huddersfield game. Just got 4 points to make. The first one, the key ingredient missing from our play at the moment is Lady Luck. The lucky penalties against us or deflected goals, and we're just not getting it in our penalty area. Surely things will change. And because of that luck, we should have beaten Sunderland, but we didn't. We should have beat or draw with Cardiff, but we didn't. And we should have beaten Huddersfield. I know there's more to than that, but it's just not going our way at the moment. Let's cling on to the hope. Point two, my man of the match was Nisbet. The way he moved and passes and any quality or inventive stuff going forward was invariably through him. Really pleased with his progress. Point three, Sav and Billy, I think, are a bit pedestrian. They're okay, but we need a bit of drive in that midfield. Whether it's Lenny or Honeyman, I've no idea, but there's just something missing from the midfield. And finally, point four, Sarkic still gives me the willies. I know he didn't do much yesterday, but the one time he come run out the area, it's only lucky that he almost sat on the ball to stop it, that avoided an embarrassing goal. So I just hope he gets his game together, because all the games from now on are cup finals. Anyway, come on, you Lions.
Good evening, Nick, mate. Bobby here, mate. I mean, where do I start, mate? I mean, anyway, hope you're doing well. Great show, Nick. BT here, Bobby. Just finished, got home now after an hour and a half drive back, traffic loads. Oh, my God, I mean, where do I actually start? All I'm going to say, we were slow, 2 points dropped again, and we all got excited, 4-4-2, 2 up front, done fuck all. All I'm saying, what did we do? The only positives out the game is, yes, Joe Bryan coming in, great left back, much more solid than Murray Wallace, and what more? I mean, Fleming, don't get me started, right? Sell him in January, sulking. Apparently, he was unhappy coming off. Done nothing again. So really and truly, all I know is now 2 points drop, penalty right at the end, same old Millwall, Nick. I mean, I'm fuming now. I'm fuming. I just think, like, did it hit his hand? Did it hit his head? I don't know what happened, but we dropped 2 points. It was a dogfight of a game. Huddersfield was shit. We were shitter. I mean, Billy Mitchell backwards. I mean, what are the positives? Only Joe Bryan, and thank God QPR lost. Thank God QPR lost. 2 points off the drop zone. I'm just deflated. Like, we're too slow, Nick. And whoever wants to say in the comments, love this podcast, love the showing it, but 2 points dropped at home. Today was the cup final win. Now Stoke away. I mean, Watmore's got to start. Brian's back in there. 2 up front. I mean, are we too good to go down? I mean, careful what you wish for with, like, Gary Rowe. Would we have drawn today? Anyway, Joey Edwards, trust the process. Again, we can't buy a win, Nick. I'm just fuming. Stoke away now. QPR. I mean, thank God they lost today. But, I mean, Cuffy man of the match. Winning 1-0. We can't see a penalty at the end. Same old Millwall. Anyway, Nick, Merry Christmas. Great show. I'm fuming. Joe Bryan, solid. Muzzy, get out. Fleming, get out. Essay. Again, Essay. No comment. Where was he today? Take care, Nick. All the best.
Big thank you, Bobby. Some really salient points you're making there, mate. Yeah, big game next week at Stoke. It's avoid defeat, I think, would be the main thing. A win would be lovely, wouldn't it? But avoid defeat up there at Stoke, I think, would be my ideal going into Christmas, and then we can hopefully get a little bit more luck, going back to Dave's point out there in Perth, maybe get a little bit of luck against QPR. It certainly went begging yesterday. We've got to see these games out. Concentration is key. That's what went missing. It's gone missing too many times this season. But big thank you to Dave and to Bobby for those 2 messages. I was going to close the show out, but I haven't given you the answers to the 2 Pundit Games questions, have I, dear listeners? The questions, punditgames.co.uk. Question we asked at the start of the show. This is a close friend of Zlatan's, who played alongside him with Ajax, Barcelona, Inter Milan. He won 3 consecutive titles of Inter in the 2000s. Played for Brazil 10 times. Name of that player, if you know it, well done. It is Maxwell. Maxwell. Made a nice brand of coffee as well. He has a house. And the other question, if you get this one, seek therapy, seek help, dear listeners. This is a Bristol City club legend, Ipswich Town club legend, 200 times for both of those 2 clubs. And apparently anchoring the midfield for Colchester, and they give you a team here for the Newport v Colchester win for Colchester in 2022. I won't even go there because I've never heard of this player. It is Cole Skuse, Skuse, Cole Skuse. If you got that question, then Pundit Games is the game for you. Check it out. Every time you select AchtungMillwall at the checkout, the Lions Hooter gets a little bumsy. So big thank you to everyone for their contributions today. Thank you to dear listener for listening. That's me done checking out Arrivederci Millwall. Bye for now.
Achtung, Millwall.